Because up here, we've got an incredible resource. It's called the non-conscious brain. And that non-conscious brain is something that we all have a capacity to tap into. I want to tell you one little story. And this little story only happened about 18 months ago. And it was an experience that I had. I was sitting in an audience, and there was a guy on stage. This guy that was on stage was a guy called Jack Black. He's a magician. I don't know if anyone's seen him or not. Tells a few stories, a bit funny, but a magician, yep. And he's doing all these card tricks and all these magical tricks, right? And then he gets me up on the stage. He identifies me, says, Wayne, can you come up and help me with this last little trick? Gets me up on stage, and he says, Wayne, would you mind just taking that imaginary deck of cards, would you mind taking, this is after he's shaken my hand and moved me over the side, take this imaginary deck of cards, and I want you to pick a card. And I'm going to look away so I can't see what card you're picking out of the imaginary deck. So he looks away. I pick this imaginary card out, which in my mind, it was the 3 of clubs. He says, Wayne, put that card back in. I'll look away, shuffle the deck up and give me the deck back. So I give him the imaginary deck back, and he stands me there, tells a couple of jokes. Then he turns around and he goes, Wayne, I'm going to try and read your mind to see if I can work out what card you got. So he stands behind, he sort of taps me on the shoulder, turns me around, and he puts his hand over my head and he starts going like this. He says, it's coming to me, it's coming to me, it's a 3, and I'm going, no, he's not going to get it. 3 of clubs. And I've gone, no. There's one piece missing there. Before he actually, when he took the imaginary deck of cards back, he gave me an envelope and he said, put that envelope in your pocket. So I had this envelope in my pocket. And he says, 3 of clubs. And I've gone, no. He said, just take that envelope out of your pocket, open it up and see what card's in there and show the audience because they mightn't believe me. So I've opened it up and you wouldn't believe there's a 3 of clubs in there. And I've showed the audience. So anyhow, I'm bewildered at this trick, right? I thought, he can't read my mind. He can't possibly read my mind. So I've gone and sat down, and then he told a couple more jokes, and as soon as he left the stage, I got up and straight over. And I said, Jack, I said, mate, you got me there. I said, mate, I've got to shout you a coffee. He said, I don't do coffee. He said, but I do lunch. I said, that's even better. So anyhow, I met him over at Kensington. About 6 weeks later, I didn't have a chance for about 6 weeks. I've gone over there. He's got this little bag, and he's come into the restaurant, put the bag down, opened it up, had all these little card like tricks in it, right? And he's showing me all these little tricks. And I said, that's fine. That's great. Really, really good, Jack. I'm impressed. But I just want to know how you read my mind. He said, but just slow down. Just slow down a bit, okay? And he wrote something on a coaster, turned it over in front of me, and he said, watch this. And he said, waiter, come here. Waiter, come here. Called the waiter over. He said, waiter, just pick a number between 1 and 10, will you? And I said, I'm thinking, what's he going on about? He said, no, the waiter's going, I said, what do you mean? I don't want to drink. He said, no, just pick a number between 1 and 10. He said, 2. And he said, okay, you can go now. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? Anyhow, when he went, he said, just turn the coaster over. I just put it down in front of you. Turned the coaster over and there was a number 2 on the coaster. I said, how did you do that? He said, well, it's the same thing I did with you. He said, I didn't read your mind. I imprinted your mind. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, when we're looking at something in life, he said, we're focusing on something. That's our conscious mind focusing on that. He said, but we're seeing from here to here. And you've got to understand that these magicians, these illusionists, are masters of attention. That's what they do. They focus your attention here, so they're doing stuff over there. So he said, you're scanning all that area. I said, yeah, so what? How did that work? How did you get that guy to pick number 2? He said, well, have a look at the table number there. The table number over here was the number 2. What he had down here, he said, look at that. There was a 2 of hearts sitting up as a card in this peripheral vision over here. And he said, when I called him over, he said, that 2. And when I called him over, I had 2 fingers up. I said, waiter. I said, you're kidding me. He said, people don't want to have to think. People are lazy. So what they do, they just scan what was in their environment non-consciously and throw a number at you. I said, so how did you do me? How did you imprint me? He said, well, I would have had, when you came up on stage, he said, I shook your hand. In this hand, he said, what card did you pick? I said, oh, 3 of clubs. He said, well, in this hand, I would have had a deck of cards. The 3 of clubs would have been on the front card on that deck. I would have shaken your hand, held it out like that, and you would have seen it with your peripheral vision. On my table, like where my table was, he said, I would have also had a table number 3 probably. If it was the 3 of clubs, I would have had a table number 3 there. And he said, when I turned you around, I would have tapped you 3 times on the shoulder. He said, those 3 cues are enough to give me a 95% hit rate. I thought, that's amazing. But what that translates to is the power of our non-conscious brain as a receiver of information. But our non-conscious brain is also a